Imperial Service, agents of the Emperor of Yu Jing, judge, jury, and executioners. They go out, hunt down terrorists, for justice must be served. This is a group and sectorial that's mostly known for being able to find anything and everything that they are looking for, hide in plain sight with faces that you might not expect, and generally bring down the hammer once they need to. I'm Jonathan, and today, here along with
Austin.
we're going to be going over some of the choices that you're probably going to be looking forward to when you are picking up this interesting and actually fairly versatile sectorial.
I'm very happy with ISS so far. All the visors. Super excited for all the visors.
Visors are definitely a really big thing in Imperial Service. It's interesting pointing out how many that they have, but as with always, we have to start out with the lowly line troopers, and who better to go over than the Celestial Guard. So the Celestial Guard is...
Oh my goodness.
They're very standard kind of line troop with their really basic stats, except for one with their whip 14 and the fact that they can dodge +1 inches. But for the most part, they're there. They're bog standard. But they have some interesting profiles. What do you think?
I do like the multi-sniper rifle to go in here. And the lieutenant costs no SWC at 13 points. I also really like the forward observer. Having that whip 14
definitely.
on an FO, I think that's fantastic. And unlike for the rest of Yu Jing, these guys are availability total, where the Zhanshi are only availability 4.
Yeah, Zhanshi and Celestial Guards can draw a lot of parallels. For instance, like in Invincible Army, they are kind of the line troop, but Invincible Army is more so wanting to bring all of the heavy infantry. Here, with the total Celestial Guard, it's really... I like it because there's a lot of different tricks that you can pull with ISS as a whole, but besides the forward observer and multi-sniper rifle profiles, which I really like because they make very good defensive pieces, especially the forward observer, because that whip 14 flash pulse in a link can be pretty devastating. The monitor needs a special shout out, not only because it allows you to bring another profile that we're going to be going over soon, but because it's also a smoke grenade launcher profile. So if you say ran a core of Celestial Guard with the monitor as a part of it, you can throw out smoke to keep your opponent, if they don't have a lot of MSV, from seeing lanes that you don't want them to see.
Absolutely, and that's like your only smoke in the whole sectorial, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure you're absolutely correct. And it's kind of interesting considering the fact that, they're a sectorial that hires a lot of mercenaries, and yet none of the smoke-throwing ones.
I know, so strange. Strange indeed.
I guess it makes sense because, JSA is no longer a part of Yu Jing, and I doubt a certain ninja would ever work for the Yu Jing Empire.
Well, still though, JSA, they're evil. They're evil.
Saito's not working for ISS.
Evil. All glory to the Yu Jing, to the Emperor. All glory to the Emperor.
Nathan likes to make jokes that I've been subsortized. I think you've spent too much time with the Bao. Regardless, moving on.
I love Kuang Shi.
Yeah,
so Kuang Shi are fantastic.
And they're 5-point orders.
We have to talk about Kuang Shi.
Yes, we must talk about Kuang Shi because...
Yes, and they're 5-point orders.
I have to go on a tier rate on these guys because I played ISS back in N3. I know we don't like talking about stuff from, N3 going into N4, but you used to have a reason to bring these guys as availability 8, and you don't really anymore.
No, not really. However, being able to bring a 5-point regular order, because like we had said before with the Celestial Guard, as long as the monitor is there, you can bring 4 Kuang Shi, no more than 4, but that's 4 orders that's regular orders.
Yeah,
And that's fantastic with chain rifles. They explode, they're dogged, they have no armor in BTS, but Fizz 12 is not terrible for a dodge.
It's basically 5 orders for 33 points, which is not bad.
That's fantastic. But I like the Kuang Shi, and just to bring a core, because I like to form my fire teams as something is going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Something is going to go down. And so I like to bring the Celestial Guard multi-sniper rifle and a monitor with all 4 of the Kuang Shi, and with this next unit that we're going to talk about, the Crane, add him in there. And now I can pick and choose what Celestial Guard that I want in that link at the time. So when my sniper goes down, I still have the monitor there to add into the link to give my Crane a full 5-man link team.
Yeah, Kuang Shi basically becoming really cheap core enablers, I think, is probably one of their better uses, especially because, again, you can choose if they explode or not.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about the Crane, because you can't not talk about the Crane. He is probably the biggest, or one of the biggest, hit pieces ISS has access to. His 4-4, his high CC, his BS-13. He's just a really rock-solid heavy infantry unit. He's no pushover in close combat. He's stealthy for reasons. But, I mean...
And armor 4 BTS 6 with 2 wounds?
Yeah, he's the medium, quote-unquote, heavy infantry version, because I think we've definitely seen some delineation between HI and N4, because you have your 3-3, like, Riot Girls and Zhuyang. You have your 4-6, like, Shangji, Crane, and a few others. I think the Orc as well. And then you have your armor 5 and up, like the Mobile Regatta, and along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So you get an actual solid HI for a pretty penny, but one of those pretty pennies...
That's a lot of pretty pennies for all of the profiles, but you get so much for it, because they do have martial arts level 3 on CC24, so that's nothing to sneeze at in close combat whatsoever. They have courage, dodge plus 2 inches, so if you happen to be on the move, they're not going to slow down. You're still going to get your 4-4 movement out of it.
I think
they are shock immunity and stealth, like you said, and two of the profiles, at least on the multi-rifle profiles, that's not the hacker, has triangulated fire sensor and X-visor.
Yeah, he's really good, especially his lieutenant profiles, because you either have a choice of, hey, I'm just going to give my entire army plus 1.5 SWC, or I'm going to take a Spitfire for free, each with an X-visor, so he barely has a bad range anymore.
And the Nanopulsar plus 1 burst, yes please, with double action close combat weapon.
Yeah, the DACCW is really useful, especially in some certain types of ITS missions. But I don't know, I really like him, and I think he's going to be one of those pieces that you're always going to reach for in ISS.
Oh, definitely, especially being a wild card.
Yeah, him getting wild card instead of his wonky old fire team rule where he could basically only join Celestial Guard. Oh, it's so much nicer. It's so much nicer. So happy.
Very truly is.
I'm so happy he's a wild card now.
Moving right along is the Pheasant.
No, the Bao Troops.
Bao, sorry.
Bao
Are the
Troops.
Bao my favorite?
Yes.
These are my favorite.
Yes. Why don't you tell me why they're your favorite? I will just sit here and wait and go get a Fide from off of my from out of my case and just pet it quietly in my lap.
You can pet that Fide all you want to. For anybody that doesn't know, I loathe Fides. And Bao Troops say, nah, you're really not my friend, because they've got 4/4 movement, CC 17, 12 BS, 10 Fizz, which is lackluster, but 14 whip, 1 armor, and 6 BTS with a biometric visor. There you are, Fide. There you are.
Yeah.
And MSP 2 with courage. Discover +3? What?
Yeah, these guys are definitely designed to see literally everything, which kind of makes sense. There's actually a piece of art for Infinity circulating. I believe it's an official piece of art with a bow literally scanning some dude to make sure he's, someone who's supposed to be there. Because invasions of privacy, ladies and gentlemen.
They're the Inquisition with visors, and I love it.
No one
I read
expects-
that somewhere.
No one expects the Chinese Inquisition.
No, but they got and they're fairly cheap for all the stuff that you get for them.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they can only harass, which
Yes.
that is my biggest complaint of ISS so far is Bao Troops can only harass, they cannot core.
Yeah, they used to be able to core. They can't core anymore. It's one of the things that they lost that makes you kind of feel like, well, maybe they're not worth it anymore. I'm not so sure about that, especially when we go over the very next profile. And there's nothing to say, oh, I don't care about anything you're doing to your opponent than a multi-sniper with both types of discovering visors and discover +3.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I've read on the forums be like, oh, multi-sniper's a trap, but it really couldn't be a trap, especially if you just expect it to go down. Because there's plenty of good duos. There's plenty of good duos, and especially with the next unit that we're going to talk about, it makes it almost worth it.
So I will say I understand why they would say it's a trap for 2 reasons. Number one, they can only harass. So
Yeah.
a big defensive weapon in a harass, usually not great. But number two, that flash pulse is actually really good with the Whip 14, able to see through the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I really like that profile the most. A combi rifle, light shotgun, and flash pulse for 24 points.
Yeah.
Yes. All day long.
Hey, let's hunt down some midfielders, right?
Right? Right? I love to. Absolutely would love to.
But to go over the Bao Troop's best friend, we have to talk about the Pheasant.
Yes! The Pheasant!
I think the Pheasant is one of the profiles that can best be described as a glow-up. Because,
oh, really?
Yes. So it used to be, if I recall correctly, chain of command wasn't base. I think it was only on a specific Pheasant profile. I could be wrong, and I'm probably wrong, because I barely brought Pheasants back in N3. They were worthless. I'm sad also to say that the sniper rifle marksmanship level X is gone, and I converted one, and now he's worthless. But they rewarded people who liked Pheasants with a tactical awareness Red Fury.
And that's what I was talking about with Bao Troop, because if you happen to bring, say, the multi-sniper, the combi, and then the Pheasant with the Red Fury and tactical awareness, that sniper can still go down. I've still got 3 orders to move out that duo of the Bao Troop with its combi rifle and the Pheasant Red Fury. And they'll still do all the things, except for you'll lose some burst.
I definitely like pheasants now, especially looking at everything that they can bring. Sure, they're more of a standard hit piece with their BS-12, but the Whip 14 actually needs a call out because they have two very good specialist options in hackers. One killer hacker, one regular hacker, for not a lot. And when you combine that with the fact that they're combi rifle emitters, that's nothing to sneeze at. Sure, the tack aware Red Fury looks at both of them and kind of says, I'm going to bring you. But having a Whip 14 specialist on the man is really, really good. Or if you wanted to, you could just bring in the mine layer with mad traps and be extra defensive.
Yeah, well, like, why wouldn't you? And I feel like you need to be a little bit more defensive-minded with ISS.
I can see that, yeah. They definitely feel
'Cause
like a group that wants to push forward, so they don't have a ton of deployment zone defenders.
yeah, they don't. Very few things get outside of the deployment zone.
Yeah. But what are you going to do? Besides,
Yeah.
hunt down the enemies of the Emperor.
Always hunt down the enemies of the Emperor.
And that's kind of like a point to go over real quick because, honestly, it kind of feels like ISS wants to be that push-forward army. And I think they have the tools to do it now, and the Pheasant is a really good indication of that with the attack awareness.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. And who doesn't love a Red Fury? And a paralysis close combat weapon -6 on a CC-23 model and martial arts level 1.
Yeah, because why not? Just, impose a -9. Why not?
Why wouldn't you?
Got me. Next, though, we have to go over more of ISS's war crimes. Because
war crimes.
Well, there's a running theme with ISS. First we went over the Kuang political prisoners. Yeah. Now we go over Wu Ming, those without name.
Yes.
AKA more prisoners.
War criminals. I really, really, really like the Wu Ming. Not just because their models look absolutely excellent, but they're so cheap, and for what you get with them, it's fantastic. 17cc, so that's not fantastic. It's not CC oriented, but it could hold its own against a non-CC superior unit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I do.
13 BS, 13 Fizz, 13 Whip, 4 armor, 3 BTS, and 2 wounds. Availability 5, but no cube.
Honestly, the Armor 4 really needs to be called out with how cheap these guys can be. I mean, their cheapest profile is a chain rifle subgun. That's really good. But their next cheapest profile is a Panzerfaust light shotgun at 24 and 25 points, respectively. Both of these profiles are nuts.
They really are, because they're dodging on 13. They do dodge an extra inch, and they do have shock immunity. But these two profiles as a whole, so chain rifle and submachine gun. So I don't want to aim, which makes you think, well, it's 13 BS is wasted. But its submachine gun is actually really fun to put into suppression. Mm-hmm. Then you absolutely adore the Panzerfaust light shotgun.
I play Hakislam. I use Delami. Of course I like the Panzerfaust.
I play Ariadne, and I love the Panzerfaust Metro. However, you know that those are throwaway pieces. And the Wu Ming, you do not want to throw away, necessarily.
Okay. I'm going to lay it down for you.
Yes.
They're not throwaway pieces because...
No.
Listen very carefully. Take 2 or 3 Wu Ming Panzerfausts and something else. Coordinate order it after blocking out line of sight to things that you don't want to obliterate with Panzerfausts. Coordinate all into that one thing. That one thing, depending on what it is, does not have a guaranteed chance of killing a Wu Ming.
No, and that is a very fair point in which why they do have some uses. So if you happen to like have a point to spare, grab that Panzerfaust because in a 5-man link or even in a Harris, that's going to be really good for you and can really take out a key piece. I'm looking at you, Tags.
I mean, sure, it'll go unloaded immediately, which is why I like the coordinated order version better, because it's a little bit more. I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's definitely awesome.
Yeah.
Ilami, I love you. But
They've got some really other good profiles here. I really like the combi rifle with the emitter, and I really like the EM grenade launcher profile at 32 and 35 points respectively.
the EM grenade launcher is an interesting piece because that is also a big "I'm going to hurt this tag" item.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say negative things about it because I think tags have the possibility of being scary in N4, namely the Yodam.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like 35 points when you have these super cheap options is a rough sell. Now, that's not to say that the heavy rocket launcher and heavy machine guns aren't worth it, because both of these heavy weapons on a BS-13 coreable platform, or Harris if you feel like you want to be more light and mobile, I think they're great options, but I mean, you can't go wrong with 25-point armor for Panzerfausts that are BS-13.
I don't think there's a bad profile in the Wu Ming Assault Corps at all. I really don't think that each one has its own use.
I can agree with that.
Unlike other profiles, which we're moving on to next, the Zhanyang Imperial agents.
What do you mean? All the Zhanyang profiles are great.
Not all
Okay,
of
maybe
them
the heavy
are
machine
great.
gun can be left at home. But
yeah, the heavy machine gun can be left at home. That missile launcher could really be left at home.
No, do not speak ill of the Zhanyang missile launcher. How dare you?
I'm going to, just because
Okay.
so Zhanyang
Let me
can
lay it
be a
down.
part of the Wu Ming fire team. However, I'd rather bring the rocket launcher because more dice.
Okay. Let me lay it down for you.
Okay.
A Zhanyang is only BS-12, sure. It is coreable. Already solves that problem. The missile launcher is only 23 points and 1.5 SWC, with a direct template weapon to also help. It has 6 Sense as well to help not be surprised by a great deal of things, and can shoot back through smoke without needing to be in a full core anyway. So, here's the biggest point. He's basically armor 3 against everything thanks to bioimmunity.
No, I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm saying you're not going to see him as much as you might see the heavy rocket launcher Wu Ming if you're going to make that core or Harris.
I would bring the Zhanyang missile launcher over the Wu Ming HRL any day.
Well, maybe those in the comments can decide who's right. It's just going off me. And again, I am still new to Yu Jing. So.
Look, man, you have loved missile launchers, so don't you try to say that you do not love a missile launcher right now, when it is, I think, the only missile launcher available to ISS.
That's a very good point. We may have to look at that.
I'm really...
Don't get me wrong, I do like a missile launcher.
Okay, there's also the Sun...
Nope, the Sun base.
Yeah, sure, missile bot, but it is the only linkable missile launcher available to ISS.
Yes.
So, don't you at me, bro. Regardless.
Yeah, Zhanyang, 12 BS, yeah, 13 whip, 1 armor, 3 BTS, but with the bioimmunity, it's pretty much armor 3 against everything. The main thing is they all have breaker most of the profiles have breaker combis, which is fantastic.
Yeah, outside of the big guns and the one boarding shotgun, they're all they all have breaker combis. And a lot of them have sensor triangulated fire, which can make for a really nice aggressive Harris, say with Wu Ming or the very next option we'll be speaking of. So I really like them. I think they're a great slot in piece for whatever you might be needing. If you need a hacker, so you get a breaker combi, you get a specialist, and you get D charges. If you want that sensor, boom, there's 3 options. One of them has mat traps, because why not? Or if you need
Yeah, these guys love mat traps.
yeah, mat traps are almost a staple in Yu Jing in general, but in ISS especially. It's like they want to capture you and interrogate you. It's okay. You've done nothing wrong. They're there, young child of the Empire.
There's no war inside the walls of Ba Sing Se.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Moving right along, the other thing that you can, if you wanted to make a Harris of Zhanyang, is the Shin Warriors, which I love Shin Warriors.
Shen. This is, I think, my first time looking at Shen in N4. Ow.
Yeah, 6'2 movement, 21 in CC, 14 BS, 14 Fizz, 14 Whip, 4 armor, 6 BTS, 2 wounds, MSV2, martial arts level 1, courage, dodge at +1 inch, and immunity shock. It's so good!
So here's something I'm just now seeing for the very first time with my elven eyes. They have a lieutenant +1 order profile with also +1 SWC. Now,
Yeah.
there is no NCO in ISS, but who cares when you're a BS-14 MSV2 dude with a multi-rifle?
And he's a specialist operative, so he can do things.
Yeah. The Shen was already good, and they just made him better.
And that's amazing, and I love it. If you just wanted to bring this guy all by himself and you didn't want to put him in the Harris, really in the Harris he would be like better just because of link team bonuses, but if you didn't want to, he's still really, really good.
I mean, he's a vanilla staple for a reason, and I think he's going to remain a vanilla staple. That heavy machine gun is always going to be a classic and amazing pick. Sure, expensive, 55 points, but it's an MSV2 heavy machine gun at BS-14 with armor 4. Come on. Like,
yeah.
The Shen's really good. The Shen's going to always be really good. I'm scared.
Well, I know what's going into my next ISS list.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
All right. What's next?
Deva, because they have a very special interaction in ISS that I think is really weird.
Yes, they do. And just me personally, and everybody can yell at me on the comments, and I understand, I don't believe in having units from another faction that's not an actual, like, mercenary be in a sectorial. I don't believe in it because I'm a purist.
NA2 exists for a reason, right?
Then it should be an NA2 army. This is not an NA2 army.
But what about QK?
This is just borrowed things. QK's not an NA2 army either.
Yeah, but it has no.
And I don't play Hawk Islam. It doesn't bother me as much because I don't play Hawk Islam. But I play Yu Jing now, and so this is what I have the problem with.
So it makes sense from a lore standpoint because the Imperial Service is trying to get in really good with Aleph for obvious reasons, and Deva are just a good piece. They are probably better in OSS, but they actually have a very special interaction here where they can make a Harris with Dakini. And you get all the good Deva stuff that Deva bring. So a BS-12, 4-4 aggressive little platform with armor 2 and 3 BTS and no incapacitation. Number 2, for reasons. But let's be honest, the biggest profile always is probably going to be the multi-spectral visor level 2 Spitfire.
Oh, yeah. For 33 points, that is expensive. But you get a whole bunch with it. I'm not going to say that the Devas are not good. The Devas are good, and the Dakini make them even better.
I think,
And that MSV2 Spitfire is whew, gross.
I think there's a fun thing that you could do with ISS where you could bring a lot of order monkeys and bring a Deva lieutenant, because a Whip 15 lieutenant's nothing to sneeze at.
Mm-mm.
But I mean, then you're just playing, silly things that don't need to exist. Or maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Sure.
Who knows?
Give smoke access to a Deva with MSV2. Why not? And that can harass, I mean.
Yes.
Because,
all day.
yeah.
Yeah. All day.
Vanilla ALF does have access to smoke, but I mean, yeah, that doesn't make me happy because of what they have to link with. And
What, the Dakinis?
Yes,
Dakinis.
I love Dakinis.
No, they're great at what they do. They're 6'4" movement. They are 13 CC, which is not fantastic, but it's a remote. 11 BS, 10 Fizz, 13 Whip, remote stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No armor, 3 BTS, and 1 structure. However, they do have remote presence. They do have courage. They do have mimetism -3. And along with that mimetism -3 is a multi-sniper rifle.
No, along with that mimetism
and a heavy machine gun.
There you go. The heavy machine gun is one of the
21 points.
Yeah, it's super cheap. It's only 1 SWC. It's one of the pieces that ISS has brought in the past that is just kind of backbreaking. Because, again, it's a mimetism -3, BS 11 that can be buffed because it is an REM, so you can give it marksman. So all of a sudden, you have this little dude running around with marksman and going in, killing things, and then at the end of his run, puts himself down in suppression in cover. So he's -6 to be hit while he ignores your cover. I have done silly things back in the past with the Dakinis where they would fight. Funniest story in the world, actually, is I had a Dakini fight off a Kamau HMG. The Dakini was in suppression. I believe because of range and everything, I was hitting on 7s, and I crit Nathan's Kamau twice.
What? Did Nathan actually lose that game?
No, he still won.
Of course he did. Losing the Kamau, he still wins.
It was just a Kamau HMG, but I did take out his Kamau multi-sniper, if I recall right. It might have been something different, but I like the Dakinis. It's one of the reasons I still own OSS.
No, they are good. They are good. I will not deny that Harris as a whole, because if you brought, let's just say, a Deva, you would need to Deva anything. You can bring a Deva anything at this point. With a heavy machine gun and anything else that you wanted to bring the paramedic, because that's the only paramedic in the entire sectorial.
That's true.
Dakinis have their place, and they're very good at what they do, and they do bring a lot to the sectorial, but
Maybe
I refuse
you should use them.
Nope. I refuse because I am a purist, and I refuse.
Well, we're about to talk about another profile you refuse to use and everyone thinks is really amazing.
No, it is amazing, and I will probably use it just because I'm going to have to.
The Garuda! I love the Garuda!
Yes, I will have to see the Garuda in action because I have not played against the Garuda. I have not used the Garuda, so you will have to explain this one to me.
You know what? In our next game, I'm bringing OSS because
Bring it.
I love the Garuda. And anyone... Okay, I'll be honest. I think everyone is going to agree with me. The Garuda is amazing. He's a 6'4", BS-12 mimetism bot with parachutist and combat jump. He can either have a boarding shotgun, which you'll never bring, a Spitfire, which is one of his better profiles because dropping a mimetism BS-12 bot that you can buff for assisted fire is really good. Especially when you give him a Spitfire for only 25 points. Sure, 1.5 SWC. But come on! Or, another actually good profile is his Forward Observer profile because he's Whip 13 with the Flash Pulse and drops wherever he needs to go. The Garuda is great, and I don't know why you dislike him, because he moves 10 inches.
No, I'm not discounting the fact that he moves 10 inches. I'm not even discounting the fact that he has mimetism. All of that is great. And the problem I have as a whole with the Garuda is you have to really work around it if you want it to succeed like you have just said you want him to succeed. Oh, let's give him marksmanship. You got to have a repeater over there if you want him to have to do parachutist.
So,
You're going to have to get some kind of repeater net over there to give him that. Also, he's not going to be combat jumping at all. He's on a Phys 11, maybe in firefight when he'll have a 14, but normally, no. You're not going to get just a little over a 50-50 shot to land him where you want him to.
I'm actually going to fight you on the repeater network thing because he doesn't need it. It just makes him better. Because BS-12 attack pieces with mimetism are really good.
No, I don't disagree with you there. I do not disagree with you there. But now he's just with no armor to speak of, and so very little fizz. So shooting is always going to be your best option. I think the forward observer would probably be the better option here, just because Whip 13 on a flash pulse is standard.
Hey man,
Warcore has Whip 13.
You don't need
it's
armor
standard.
when you don't get hit.
You say that, but he's a fast specialist that you can put down into the midfield with parachutists. That would be hard to hit. If you were gonna bring the Garuda, I would absolutely bring the forward observer. I'm not sold on the other two.
No, he's a fast attack piece that you give a Spitfire and watch him come up on the side of the board and demolish your opponent.
Alrighty, well we will find out then, won't we?
Yes, we will. Maybe later.
Okay.
But next is the piece that you're probably actually going to be bringing, the Sophotect.
Yes, because it is the only engineer in the entire sectorial. It is the only actual doctor in the entire sectorial on a Whip 15.
Yep.
Yes, we're going to need you.
There's only one group with better doctors.
Yes. We don't talk about them.
I play it. What do you mean we don't talk about it? I play it.
We don't talk.
But yeah, Sophotect. Every ISS countermeasures requirement. Austin.
Nah.
It's a requirement. Yeah. It's 31 points of do everything.
Yeah, it's 31 points of do everything, and with the ability to bring their little Udbots, they're his peripherals.
Yeah.
So 2 peripherals and a Sophotect, that's really good.
Yeah, the
Sophotect will get IT missions done.
Yeah, she's also 6'4", so...
by herself. With 2 armor.
And NWI. Oh, and she can cure herself.
Yeah.
It's like she's really good or something, Austin.
No, absolutely really good. And if I was going to bring any of them, it would be the Sophotect just because I want to actually win a game. And not just tie with you.
Hey, you know.
No, Sophotects are really good. You say they are expensive for 31 points, but you will not find something better in the sectorial. And in fact, if you were going to look in the whole of Yu Jing, you wouldn't find anything better than the Sophotect with ISS.
It's too bad you can't bring her in vanilla.
I know.
Bring Sophotects, ladies and gentlemen, if you're playing ISS. Or if you're playing LF. Moving on.
All right, what's next? I'm tired of talking about them.
We're back to Yu Jing stuff because that's all you can bring from ALEF besides Udbots. But ninjas, the never leave home without one midfield specialist.
Yes, because it's one of only 2 profiles that will actually get out of the midfield or out of your deployment zone and into the midfield. And you always want to bring 1 because their availability is only 1. But they're so wonderful.
Yeah, ninjas are great. CC specialists because 23 plus martial arts. Specialists in general because of their Whip Fit 13 and just general goodness for their specialist profiles. And they can, hit and deploy with terrain total, mimetism -6. camouflage.
CC attack shock.
CC attack shock is actually new. I didn't know they had it, and that makes them extra terrifying.
Yeah, DA close combat weapon with shock or AP close combat weapon with shock.
Pick your poison, because why not? They are squishy, with only Armor 1 BTS 0. But for 29 points, getting a killer hacker with a TACBO, DACCW, and the general ninja package, I don't think you can go wrong.
No, I don't think you can. And you won't really see the other three profiles, the non-specialist profiles, because you'll want to save that ninja for either a key attack piece near... You're gonna want to use it near the end of the game to complete the objective, and it's so good at completing those objectives.
Or you can definitely go on a bit of a surprise attack rampage. The ninja is just a great piece that can take out key things that you need to kill. Great with CC thanks to everything. The TACBO is nothing to sneeze at, but you want to put the ninja in a kind of close quarters spot so that she can actually utilize it. Subgun profiles are subgun profiles. They're great. I think the FO and the regular hacker subgun are probably going to remain maybe a little maligned because they're kind of expensive and ISS is a faction of expensive, but you can't go wrong with a 29-point killer hacker.
No, you really can't. That TACBO is good just because it's silent, so that alert can't happen.
Well, it's also a decent little close-range ARO piece because it's DA.
Very true. Very true. And if they get any closer, you could just DA plus shock close combat weapon them.
Very true. Very, very true. I like ninjas. Don't leave home without one.
Never.
Next
and
up,
moving later wrong, Kanren counter-insurgency group.
So these guys are one of the pillars of what I call the mind game list, where you bring as much holo projector holo mask as you possibly can.
And it's hilarious.
It's funny. I like it. There's only one other faction that can play these kinds of mind games in general, but I think ISS does it better. Kanren having AVA3 with all this means you can set up a bunch of quote-unquote order monkeys in rafters and just be, hi, friend, how are you? There are other stuff like, surprise attack, martial arts, forward deployment plus 8 inches, terrain total.
Stealth with holo mask and holo projector. They're so good. BS12, that's standard.
Yeah.
Phys 10, that's standard. So for Yu Jing, light infantry and skirmishers. Whip 13, 1 armor, 3 BTS, and 1 wound. But all the things you're going to want to bring, like you could bring all 3. You could bring a hacker or killer hacker, bring an FO because he'll still do FO things, and then bring a mine layer. You're not really going to see just the regular boarding shotgun. You will find points to get another specialist. Kanren are built to be specialists.
My opinion, bring 3 Kanren mine layer mad trap combi rifle chain colts because
that's also an option.
Well, here's my thing, because you have mad traps, which those types of deployables just got way better in N4. You have a direct template weapon in the chain colt. You have a high burst weapon in the combi rifle, so you can go into suppression. The way holo projector and holo mask works is that if you, let's say you're behind a corner, you're out of line of sight, and you go into suppression. Turn happens. Holo projector activates again. You get to choose which of those holo projectors you actually are. So you went from out of line of sight in suppression to looking down an alleyway in suppression.
Yeah, you can play a lot of fun little mind games. However, any good player will tell you, be like, you'll never not just shoot at one of the holojectors. Either I made it or I didn't. Because you can't target more than 1 in ARO. So you can only shoot one of the holo projections, one of the holo echoes. So either I made it or I didn't make it.
There's a lot of other things you can actually do with holo projectors. They're very good for keeping your opponent on their toes, especially when you have 3 of the same model running down the field and your opponent has to guess. They're very good also at detonating mines and deployables because, for all intents and purposes, it is just a model. So you can put one of your fakes out to detonate those things, and then the real ones are safe.
Very true.
I like Hollow Projector. It's a underappreciated rule in some circles, but Kanren are just really good in the fact that they are some of the few specialists that are available in ISS that do not start in your deployment zone.
Yeah, I think that they are absolutely excellent.
Very much.
And everybody
so.
should bring at least one
I could see
in
that.
every list.
I don't know if they're a staple, but I could see that. But this next thing is definitely a staple.
And it is,
The Zhuang.
of course, the Sujian. Sujian immediate action unit. Ooh, fast kitty. So in combat form, normal form, is absolutely terrifying with a 4/4 movement, 14 BS, 14 Fizz, 13 Whip, 5 armor, 6 BTS, 2 structure.
Mm-hmm.
Not wounds, structure.
He's also got...
They're size 5.
Yep.
With BS attack +1 damage, courage, fire team duo, shock immunity, no wound in cap, transmutation auto, which we will get to in a second, and remote presence.
So if you don't want to use the NWI, you could go into 2 versions of Unconscious, which can be very good. The transmutation auto is really big, though, because you have to go over the mobility form. The big differences here are it's BS12 instead, but goes up to 8-2 movement and gains total terrain and climbing plus. So fast kitty gonna fast kitty. And the BS...
And you did the dodge +2 inches, right?
I actually didn't. Yeah. So
yeah, dodge 2 inches. So if you move your 8 inches and then decide you're going to dodge, you're going to get farther than the 10 inches than you have. You're going to get a full foot if you dodge second.
And Fizz 14 is not hard to get that off on.
No, not at all. I speak from experience with my Galwegians.
Yeah. But I think there's only one real profile to go over, and that's the Spitfire profile.
Oh, absolutely. Spitfire, light flamethrower, Panzerfaust, heavy pistol, and a first combat weapon, 1.5 SWC, 54 points. Yes, that's expensive.
And this is not to say that this is not to say that the heavy shotgun version isn't bad. It's just that the Spitfire version is better.
Got you. And damage 15 Spitfire.
It's a light machine gun.
Fujians are fantastic in every way, shape, or form. I like doing, because you can use a cautious movement, because you're using your first order in high mobility form, in his kitty form. Mm-hmm. You can cautious movement 8 inches and not get shot.
That's pretty good. Next up, though, we have the continuation of my silly idea, which is the Mind Games list, the Duan. Because, again, another hollow projector.
Hollow mask, hollow projector with MSV1.
Yes. So,
and Mind Layer.
I keep forgetting he has Mind Layer.
Hey, he's got a deployable repeater where the Rushi has a repeater on himself. Mm-hmm. The Duan can drop that repeater next to him, and then on deployment, and a hacker doesn't need to be anywhere near him to put that marksmanship onto him, and because of how everything is now, you can just... He's got marksmanship now. Set it and forget it. You don't have to re-up it.
So here's my thing.
On a Mark 12.
My thing is this. The Duan is much like another remote in another faction. Mm-hmm. What I would do, because I am silly and I like doing fun things, is I would bring both Duan and and hide them as Pangolin. Now, all of a sudden, there's 6 Pangolin in your backfield. Your opponent's going to know there's not actually 6 Pangolin in your backfield. But which one's the real one? And which one's hiding the heavy flamethrower?
Right?
Alternatively, you can just hide them as single Pangolin, making them look like order monkeys. And then surprise your opponent who, drops oh, I don't know, a Van Zant in your backfield, and all of a sudden the lewd one's just like, oh wait, I am not a worthless pangling. I am in fact the lewd one, and I'm going to heavy flamethrower you, because forget you.
And because of the availability of size 4 models in ISS, I think a Pangalang is going to be your best bet, and you'll want to use that in defense, and then holoprojector more as an offensive tool to help you get surprise attack.
Very much so. I mean, he's got the armaments to be offensive as well, because if you're going, say, second and you want to be defensive, definitely, I would suggest doing the Pangalang idea, where he's this disguised as one. But then immediately you can go in on the offense, where now he has a MSV level 1 Mark 12. He doesn't need to be buffed because he's another BS 12 hit piece, and they don't need to be buffed. But he's, all in all, he's actually a really good little piece. I wish his mine layer got more traction, but because deployable repeaters are put down as deployable repeaters and not, say, camo tokens, it makes it less pertinent. But he can always put one down later to help him if he needs it.
And I think he's a really good alternative to the Rushi because he doesn't cost any SWC. You can play those mind games, and he's only 1 point extra. All right, moving on.
The man
we
of
have
the hour.
oh, Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu. Oh, boy.
Sun Tzu is the... Oh, goodness gracious, this thing is insane. Sun Tzu is insane.
He's definitely part of the Super Elite Strategos Level 2 club, which can allow for a lot of interesting shenanigans. All things considered, he's a 6'2", heavy infantry with 2.5 runes, total immunity, BS12 with whip 17. So already there are only 3 numbers on the dice that you can fail on for the lieutenant role. If you roll a 16 or 17, it becomes really obvious who your lieutenant is, but it's also really obvious who your lieutenant is when you put Sun Tzu down.
But he's so good at what he does have 6'2" movement. 12 BS is pretty standard. 12 Fizz, that's pretty standard. 17 Whip, that's insane. Right. That Flash Pulse is insane because he's got a Flash Pulse in every profile.
Yeah, the fact that he can basically set himself up being a total immune, mimetism, whip 17 Flash Pulse makes him kind of crazy. Sure, he's an obvious lieutenant, but here's a funny thing. He doesn't have courage.
No,
but he's whip 17, courage. So he's only failing on 3 rolls of the die.
Yeah. But he's got 4 armor and 6 BTS, so it's hard for him to... He's a really good lieutenant because of the Strategos level 2. He's a very... durable lieutenant. Because it's hard to get to him, number 1, if you set up correctly. And with 4 armor and 6 BTS, and he's got total immunity anyway, it's going to be hard to get to hack him. It's going to be hard to shoot him. Right. He's got 2.5 wounds. He's got mimetism. And his lieutenant is +1 command token,
which is really useful. And you could make an argument to actually utilize his lieutenant order aggressively to flash pulse, say a defensive piece that you want to not do anything. I think Sun Tzu definitely has a place, despite his huge point cost. I don't know if you're going to bring him in every list, but when you build a list with him, it's going to be interesting to use.
Sun Tzu also has a second option, but we're going to go over it, but you're not going to bring it.
Yeah, Sun Tzu version 2.
Marksman leader. He doesn't have a flash pulse, number 1.
Doesn't.
He does have BS 14.
He does.
So he is cheaper. And yes, he is BS 14 with MSV 1.
Yes.
And he is still total immunity. You still can grab the lieutenant with the +1 command token on a multi-sniper. I don't think it's worth it. I really don't.
Sunsa version 2, if you want to take him for his BS-14 multi-sniper, go for it. Let me know how it goes for you, and then I'll get you a cup of tea and be like, yeah, man, feels bad.
Alrighty, moving on from Sun Tzu, we have...
Adil
Who we
Mehmut.
got next? I love Adil Mehmut. I love both of his versions. I think that he is fantastic. His lore is fantastic. Everything about him is great.
But we're going over a special division first. So the CC-23, Move 4-4, BS-13, Phys-11, Whip 13, Armor 2 BTS-3 dude with Martial Arts Level 2, Triangulated Fire, Courage, Dodge +3, so who cares that he actually only has Phys-11, Sensor, Stealth, NWI, and number 2.
And he's a wild card with both profiles have a breaker combi rifle and a nanopulsar +1 burst with monofilament close combat weapon and a paralysis close combat weapon -6.
Really, the fact that he has those two weapons kind of makes his Fizz unimportant, because the monofilament is always going to be striking at damage 12 no matter what, and the para close combat weapon is not there to kill things. But a monofilament at CC-23, Martial Arts Level 2, that's linkable, that's a little scary, because if you say put him in a nice aggressive Harris, he actually makes a decent hit attack piece.
So the two profiles here, they have the same things, except one is a specialist operative and a veteran.
Which is good if your lieutenant somehow goes down.
Yes, so he will still be able to complete whatever mission that he's set out to do. Or a chain of command option, which with so many aggressive lieutenants in ISS, it's hard to hide a lieutenant. And so you have very obvious lieutenants, so having that chain of command could come in really handy.
Now, I'll say that the Pheasant probably makes a better chain of command.
100%.
But
100%.
The redundancy can be good, honestly.
I don't disagree. I do not disagree. I like this Adil Mehmut better than the next one we're going to talk about, which is Crane Armor Adil Mehmut.
You don't like Crane Armor Adil Mehmut?
No, I do like Crane Armor Adil Mehmut, but if I had to choose one, I would take this one.
Sure. The Special Division one is pretty neat. But yeah, he's definitely a bring if you are after a good breaker triangulated fire.
Which I love the triangulated fire on him because it's going to be -3 to his BS. So he's shooting on 10s. That does not affect any burst mod. So you got a 50-50 shot on all of your burst. So with a breaker combi, it's going to be 4 bursts. So 4 dice on 10s.
And this is assuming
and you
he's
ignore everything else. Yeah, and assuming he's at least in a Harris.
It ignores cover, range mods, and mimetism. Yeah. We should probably also talk about his Crane version, which brings a lot of the same things he does in a beefier package.
Much beefier package, and his model looks amazing. It's so dynamic.
Yeah, it's really cool. He's jumping off a thing. Honestly, there's not much really to talk about when it comes to Crane Armor Adil. He's more expensive because he has the Crane Armor. He's tougher because he has the Crane Armor. He's higher Fizz because he has the Crane Armor. He still is a special operative veteran, period. He still has Triangulated Fire, and he still has number 2. He's just tougher. So if you have the points and you want just tough Adil Mehmut, he's there. He exists. And he gets another extra wound, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, getting the extra wound is really nice. He does lose the paralysis close combat weapon, but he's in Crane Armor. Cranes are there to kill things.
Exactly. So.
And he does lose the +1 burst to the nanopulsar.
Sure, but you're probably going to be doing more with the breaker combi anyway offensively.
No, 100%. Like I said, I like Adil Mehmut. I like both of the profiles, but if I was going to choose one, I would choose the other one.
I'm kind of feeling Crane Armor one, but I don't disagree. Guifeng Zhuang, a.k.a. the best wildcard troop in ISS.
100% without a doubt. Mad Trap King with FO.
Yeah, he's a Mad Trap King with Whip 14, number 2, Mind Layer, dodge +1 inch. He's got the pretty standard kind of I'm a character profile with 4/4 BS12 and all that jazz. Armor 2 BTS 3, so he's decently tough. But combi, light flamethrower +1 burst, a flash pulse,
Yes.
mad traps, and he can wildcard. It seems pretty good, man.
For 21 points, yes.
Mad traps, like, they're such a Yu Jing thing. You can really do some silly stuff with mad traps to defend your deployment zone, which I think is great in a faction like ISS. And Zhuang is just, he's one of the cheapening options that exist. So Wu Ming core, bam, knock off a few points, bring Zhuang. A Bao Harris, bam, knock off a few points, bring Zhuang. Doesn't really do much for the Celestial Guard and Kuang for cheapening, but what he does is he gives them extra punch. So all of a sudden, in a core of one of those, bam, mad traps, bam, light flamethrower, bam, extra flash pulse. Just generally really good. He's
You know
one
where
of the
he'd
things,
be really good at? Zhanyang Harris with a Shen Warrior.
that could, yes, that's also a really good cheapening spot for him. He's one of the reasons why every single Yu Jing player needs to have a Hakaslam player in their life so that they can split that Dire Rose box.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome. I played everything. But yeah, he's almost an auto-include in almost every single ISS list.
100%. You'll not come onto the board and not have him. He's good no matter where you put him.
Yeah, definitely. Next, we're going to talk about something that I have a soft spot for. And that's Dao Wu.
Dao Wu, mastermind and schemer. This guy is a Aristia character.
He is. He is the sleazy old man who isn't what he seems he is, but looking at his profile, I think he's really close. Honestly, let us get the cat out of the bag. He is a bog standard piece just looking at his stats. Where he shines, though, is in the fact that you can hide him. Yay. He's CC attack -6. He's a natural born warrior, so you're not benefiting from martial arts. And he has +1 burst viral pistols, which, as everyone who pays attention found out, that gives you +1 dice in close combat.
Yeah.
He also has a flash pulse +1 burst and +2 burst nano pulsar with counter intelligence. Dao Wu is honestly a piece that you can do a lot of things with. He's a scalpel, he's a defensive piece, and he gives you counter intelligence to protect your order pools. And as for our last character, because he fits into a theme that I've been harping on, Lucian Sforza.
Yes. Father Lucian Sforza. This is probably one of my favorite. It's top 3 definitely favorite mercs.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy I'm going to get to use him. The FTO option, I wouldn't worry about it. I really wouldn't, because he can only duo at the very most with other authorized bounty hunters or Miranda Ashcroft, who's also in this sectorial. So don't worry about Sforza FTO. You want the hollow projector, hollow mask profile.
Yeah, because why not just bring, 4 hollow mask, hollow projector pieces in a single game, all disguised as Celestial Guard, dancing on rooftops going, ha ha, we're not what we really are, and you have to guess, what are we?
What are we? And then if you happen to run across Sforza with his X-Visor and either the adhesive launcher +1 burst or a viral rifle shooting out to 24s on 24 inches on zeros, that's awesome.
It's actually out to 32 inches.
32? Oh, God, wow. That's fantastic.
The surprise attack will make him a lot better at hitting what he needs to as well. BS13 is just great, especially when you pair it with an X-Visor. He's dogged, He's not shock immune, which makes me sad, but dogged stealth, courage, viral rifle, adhesive launcher, nanopulsar, and a heavy pistol for good measure. Why not?
Yeah, that's what you need to be asking yourself when you bring Sforza is why not?
Yeah, he does the job, honestly.
That is ISS. We hope you enjoyed the video. We hope you learned some things. I'm still learning some things being new to Yu Jing and ISS.
That's why
So,
I'm here, and why the video's probably twice as long.
but it's really good, really fun. I think you're really going to enjoy them. ISS is a very, it seems like it's a see what you get type of army, but as you've seen with all the hollow mask and hollow projectors and all of the visors that ISS can bring, it's really not what it seems. And enjoy ISS, guys. Very worthwhile.
Indeed. Have fun playing the game how you want to play it.